5, Noah.
All right. Give it a few minutes here to let. Oh, we got 2 on here.
Yeah.
Give it a couple more minutes. How's everybody doing? What do we got out there? All right, folks. So we're streaming this off of StreamYard, and so right there in the comments, whatever. I don't know if you're looking at it through Facebook or if you are going through the YouTube channel. There you go. Hey, Paul, what's going on? If you will, just go ahead and throw up a comment real quick. That way, we got you in the comment stream. Mike, good to see you, man. Happy Friday. I don't know. It is a wet Friday. Man, I was driving home from Northern Virginia earlier today, and I was hydroplaning all over the place. What else we got out there?
It was a mess.
Go throw up a comment. Just say hello. That way we got you in the comment stream. There's a bad echo. Let's see what we can do here. Thanks for letting me know, Paul.
Oh, I hear that echo.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. I don't know why that headphones. Audio. USB mix minus. Let me see. We still get an echo?
Yep. I bet it's the microphone.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly.
Do you think it's my microphone?
No, it's Noah's, but I have Noah's. Yeah. Can that turn off? Yeah, there we go. Is it gone?
Yep.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Yep, there we go. All right, we found it. All right.
No, it's still there.
I had it on this week when I switched it.
Oh, baby. Let's see. Here, I'm gonna unplug this. All right. Are we still getting the echo here? Yeah. I am. I have no clue. Is this? Hold on. Let me see here.
I don't know.
How about now? Are we still getting echo? It's these.
Okay. No, I don't get them.
Like having multiple gears. Man, I don't know where that's coming from. It's not that.
Let me mute mine and see if it's mine.
Is the mic on the camera?
No. It might be going back through Jason's and then picking up there.
Did it go away? I hit mute.
Yeah, I think so. Hit mute real quick.
He is on mute.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. We still getting echo? Still getting echo.
Nope. It's gone when he mutes.
All right. Yeah, that's what it is. We're just getting a feedback loop.
Maybe Jason put some ears on.
All right, there you go. Jason, I don't know if you have any like headphones or anything like that you might.
I do. I don't know that I can run them through this setup. Hold on real quick.
It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
Let me see if I can run them through here.
All right, folks, we're gonna let Jason get that hammered out and see if he can hook up some earbuds to it. We'll work around that one way or the other. All right, so how's everybody doing? John, it's good to see you. Glad you made it. Who else we got here? Ed, awesome to see you here. All right, so while Jason is hooking that up, I just want to do a quick introduction for Jason and let you guys know, number one, why he's here, and we'll kind of go from there. First and foremost, Jason, I ended up meeting Jason. He originally came to some of our Steve Tarani courses. And we're still getting a little bit of feedback there. I don't know. And basically, he started coming out to some of our courses. We became friends. And he runs Battlefield Jiu-Jitsu, which is a jiu-jitsu studio there in Haymarket. I think we share a very similar mindset. He's had his family out for training. He obviously is an instructor himself. He's been practicing jiu-jitsu for a really long time. And again, it's the same mindset, right? And also, not just what I love about Jason. Number one is that he includes his family, like a lot of our clients do as well. But again, he's really been dedicated to making sure that not only he is ready for multiple situations, but also his family is, and just being a good example to his family and to others. And he's definitely one of those guys I just really enjoy. I feel very fortunate to call my friend, and we're just glad you're here, Jason. So, Jason, I'm sure I missed a few things on there. Tell us a little bit about yourself that I didn't cover.
First of all, can you hear me okay now?
Yep.
And no feedback?
No, I don't think so.
Awesome. Great. So first, thanks for having me here. Honored to be a part of it and to participate in this particular live stream today. I think you pretty much touched on everything. Been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time, been instructing it since 2008. Kind of had a little bounce out of the construction industry when the economy tanked in 2007, 2008. And really the only other thing I had at that point in time to be able to make a career out of was jiu-jitsu, and dove headfirst in and been doing it ever since. I've got instruction background going back probably a decade or more before that in various environments, sports and otherwise, some in a corporate setting with training on efficiencies, and then also in college. I did a lot of instruction in a more military type college setting. And so that's kind of, I think, what led me down that road to the instruction at this point. I'm sorry, what was that?
What school did you went to? The Citadel or VMI?
VMI. We never say the Citadel around here.
What's that?
I said VMI. We never say the Citadel around here. Those are bad words.
Fair enough. The other thing that, I think we have uniquely in common is that, we really have a family that's really involved in our business, and obviously,
absolutely.
Our wives, I'm sure, Summer definitely doesn't get nearly enough credit on my end for sure. And I know your wife is extremely supportive and really is, I think both of our businesses, our wives are what really make it happen or allow
absolutely.
us to do what we want to do. So, thanks, Paul, for letting me know. I'll turn that volume back up. Everybody hear me pretty good now? And I think that's important. I think, again, there's just a lot of crossovers there. But, again, what it comes down to is mindset. It comes down to mindset, and also the fact that, me and Jason have a lot of discussions about current events or training or, whether it's business development or whatever it is. And, again, I always notice right off that Jason is one of those guys that puts a lot of thought into the current situations, as well as going from the macro down to the micro, whether we're talking about business, whether we're talking about self-defense, whether we're talking about preparedness, family, business development, whatever it is. So I thought it'd be a lot of fun to have Jason on here today, as well as, and I think you guys will really enjoy hearing his perspective on a lot of things. I know I always do. But also definitely having him on here as a regular guest as well, and hopefully having some other guests too to just spice it up, other than just hearing me flap my gums. But there's a few topics that first of all, I want to welcome everybody that I didn't get a chance to so far. We got Richard Beard. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. Jamie Lee McFadden. Welcome. Who else did we miss? I think that's everybody so far. Roger, good to see you, man. Roger, how you doing, buddy?
I think the Alonzos were having a watch party tonight
Alonzo.
on the big screen.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So let's get right into this. So first and foremost, well, actually, I want to do this first. Is there anybody that has any questions, anything that they want to bring up or discuss before I kind of start hitting the topics that I wanted to cover?
We lost Jason.
We lost Jason. That's all right. I'm sure he'll be back. All right, Jason's back. I don't see any questions coming up on the board, so let's jump right into this. So first and foremost, sorry, God.
2.5.
What is this?
I don't know if anybody can hear me, but I think I'm the only one in here now. Might be a good thing that we're talking about equipment first. Hey, Roger, I just saw your comment. Yeah, so I picked that up recently. Have not read it yet, but looking forward to it. I picked up several books here recently that I probably should have read years ago, and going to make those part of things that that I knock off here the next year. So thanks for noticing.
All right.
Paul's asking.
I don't know what's going on, folks. I apologize.
I told everybody it's a good thing we're talking about equipment first, and then.
All right,
Paul,
so I'm gonna wait for Jason to get back on, but let's talk about equipment, training, self-evaluation. Can everybody hear me? Is everybody good there? Good. All right. People can hear me, I think. All right. So what I mean by this specifically is I can't hear Jason this end, but as long as you guys can hear him, that's fine with me. We don't have him on video either. Anyways, all right. So the big thing like to equipment and training self-eval, right? So besides just, for instance, when I go off to another country or things like that, we end up moving equipment around and for self-defense, for security purposes. And when I get back, I always know that I got to go through all of our equipment, whether it be firearms that I have in the house, other security, there's different things to make sure they're working. And this can be along the lines of holsters and things as well, whether it's holsters, lights, making sure your batteries, you have fresh batteries. Those are things that you guys should definitely be checking regularly. And of course, also looking at, I think this is a good time of year where you're looking at the next calendar year, looking at your training and self-evaluating your training. So start thinking about your weaknesses and those flaws or those areas where you need to get stronger in, whether it be medical, whether it need to be going hands-on self-defense. Because guess what, folks? You are not always going to have a firearm.
It's the same password as yours. Way back?
Yeah,
Are
I
we
can
back
hear you
here,
now.
Jason?
Yep.
I hear him.
All right, I hear you at least. All right, so again, just making sure that you are fully prepared.
I can see me on Facebook.
Okay, good. I'm not going to mess with it. All right. So again, just making sure that you're going back through your equipment and making sure that it's always ready to go. Whether it's your holsters, holsters need to be constantly tightened, making sure that your equipment in general is good to go. For home defense, for self-defense, for concealed carry, whatever it is, it's good to regularly evaluate that. And again, making sure that you're also looking at and self-evaluating what your training should be going into next year. So, and Jason, if you want to add to anything I just said there.
So what I have learned in the past several years is that it's important to have training equipment ready for training, and then your everyday equipment ready for every day. And it's when I first got into it, I thought it would be one and the same, and I learned pretty quickly that it's not. So the gear that we have set up for the range, we've gotten stuff set up for Amy and for myself, and then more so for myself for everyday carry. I'm starting to explore more what works best for me there, and that they're two different realms. With the exception of going through the concealed carry course, which I have not done yet. You have to be prepared for both. You can't be ignoring one and then the other, and focusing on one or the other. You have to be thinking about both. And I've learned quickly that it's not a one and done type solution. You're going to be experimenting with things to determine what's best for you, and that can be a bit of a process. And don't let that frustrate you. Kind of go with the flow there, and be ready to play around and determine what works best for you as an individual, as far as the weapon system, how you're going to carry, what that right holster is for the location that you're going to carry. And then evaluating that based on experience as you go, and that it can change, and that's not a bad thing. And based upon what you're saying there about preparing for the upcoming season, you kind of have to do the same thing with your day-to-day, not just with your training. still here.
I think maybe they can see us.
I don't know. I didn't know if what you're looking at is a live stream.
Text Gary real quick. You guys are stuck with me again. There was a question, I believe it was from Paul, about jiu-jitsu equipment. I think that was his name. I don't know if you're still with us, Paul. But we do gi and no gi training. So gi is a traditional kimono. It's not necessarily required. The advantage to it is it's very durable. So when you're learning how to utilize the material on another person against them, whether it be for choking, whether it be for off balancing, things of that nature, the gi comes in handy because you're not tearing up your regular everyday clothes. That said, there's an advantage to spending some time training in those clothes, but then you got to make sure that you're not too concerned about damaging those clothes in the process. But they make specific shorts for training. Are they necessary? Not really. When I got started in jiu-jitsu, we were wearing board shorts. We weren't wearing specific no-gi shorts. The no-gi shorts have the string on the inside versus board shorts a lot of times have the strings on the outside that fingers or toes could get caught up into. So it is better to utilize the no-gi shorts. When I first started training, we were training in t-shirts and then in Under Armour gear some, and then they started using rash guards similar to rash guards that are used in surfing, and so now they have specific rash guards for jiu-jitsu to stay tighter to your body so you're not getting hung up in people's t-shirts and things of that nature. It's probably important to make sure that you're spending time training in both. But as far as equipment, that's really it. Just the stuff that you're going to be wearing is all you really need to be concerned about when you start training in jiu-jitsu.
All right, folks. I don't know if you can hear me now or not. I don't know if I'm stepping on you, Jason. I apologize if I am.
I can hear you and see you on both.
I don't know if it's the weather, folks. We live out here in rural West Virginia, and it is what it is. All right. Right now, I just can't hear Jason, so good to go. All right. Hopefully, again, like I said, hopefully I'm not stepping. Jason, thanks for jumping in there and covering down while we're figuring out how to work the interwebs here. All right. So let's talk about family skill development and preparedness. West Virginia for 2A is amazing, Jamie. We have what we have. We have constitutional carry, so a gun killed. without any sort of licensing or anything like that. And that goes for residents and non-residents alike. So really happy about West Virginia when it comes to the Second Amendment issues, and it's a good place to live here, as well as run a business that is kind of focused around firearms. Cool. We'll continue to work these technical issues out. Family skill of parents, and again, this is one of the things that Jason and I talk about a lot, is making sure that we're raising capable children, and making sure as much as we can, making sure that we give our wives the tools that they need, that if we're not around, they can be independent as well, right? So making sure they're as trained as possible. And this is something that I definitely want to encourage everybody out there to do. Make sure that in your family and do it. The key here is trying to figure out how to do this in a fun way, right? And not turn this into, yelling at your kids, all right, you're going to the range with me. You definitely got to introduce them a little bit at a time. Willie does a great job with this. Willie, his daughter, who I believe is 15 or 16 now, but she started training with us when she was 12. She clearly jumped right into it. So making sure that you're encouraging your kids to be self-sufficient. One of the things that I really want for the spring is start doing some camp days. I'll come up with basically we used to run survival courses for the NRA, and these are very, it's not a survival course per se. It's learning survival skills in a campground environment. And that's something that I want to start doing, where again, we're teaching kids the basics when it comes to fire building, when it comes to procuring water, procuring food, and being able to build basic shelter. So some of these very basic skills that most people just don't have, that a lot of us take for granted. So, Jason, I don't know if you can hear me but if you have something to add to that, please do.
I can hear you on my end. I don't know if you're able to hear me yet. We look at it from a perspective of from a defense perspective, from a what can we do to assist each other. That could be medical, that could be facilitating things as far as advocating for each other in various situations. How can the family unit focus as a cohesive team in helping us achieve what the family goals are? That can be advocating for things in school, in our professional lives, but in regards to a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, we identified that there were some holes in our preparedness as a family for taking care of each other in traumatic injury situations. We identified situations. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot in society, shootings, bombings, things of that nature. How are we prepared to take care of each other, and probably more importantly, how are we prepared to be there for our community, our local community, if something happens here close to home? Are we an asset or a liability? And that was one of the things that you and I discussed when I first reached out to you about becoming student leaders. What things do I need to focus on to be an asset versus a liability in the situation if things sideways? What do I need to focus on to be my extended family versus a liability? That's pretty much how we try to focus on things. What can I do to be more for those around us versus less? Pretty much how we try to focus on things. What can I do to be more for those around us versus less?
Yeah, again, folks, me and Jason jumped on here. We did a sound, everything was working good, but it is what it is. But no, absolutely. So just making sure that you are not a liability. That says a lot in itself, or that is a lot in itself, right? Just making sure that you have some basic skills, and also knowing your strengths and weaknesses, right? One of the things that I get frustrated with or see, folks that we used to train, federal students, State Department personnel and things like that I've been involved with training. Folks, under stress, there's this myth that people think they're going to rise to an occasion, or they're going to get better, or a skill that they barely have they think is going to suddenly flourish, and they're going to see the light and things. That never happens, folks. Under stress, you're going to fall apart. However good you think, or if you basic an evaluation of a skill, whether it's shooting, whatever it is, folks, under stress, I'm telling you right now, that level that you're at is only going to greatly diminish dramatically. Exponentially. So again, you need to be aware of that and do a real honest evaluation of your skill sets and knowing what you can do, what you're capable of, and what you're not. Or also just knowledge retention, right? Let's talk about when it comes to med courses. Many of you that are on the stream right now have been to our med courses. Just because, and somebody out there that's been to one of our med courses, the acronym that we're going to use if you're assessing a casualty, right? MARCS. So we have massive hemorrhaging, airway, respiration, circulation, and then, heat or hypothermia, right? So those are the things you're going to do. And I'm telling you, under stress, unless you can rattle them off just like I did just now, or you're just so used to going through that evaluation process, folks, you're not even going to remember it. All right. You're not going to remember what M stands for, or A stands for, or R stands for. You're not going to remember the process. We drill on that stuff for a full day in class, and then another half day the following day, and then we throw students into a scenario where they have to use all of that, put it all together, and certainly they can't remember. Just of understanding that under stress, you're going to diminish your capabilities.
Yeah.
Paul asked, let's throw this up here. Paul asked, do you promote home style fire drill-like drills that are done at home, in your car, or in public? All the above, right? So, as much as you can, you should definitely throw some reality in there and do some drills. The big thing here is making sure that people can focus on, you're forcing people, what we do in all of our drills, culmination exercises and everything else, is not just shooting a target, right? You have to force people to do multiple things as well as the key task. So if the key task is shooting, all right, I'm also going to throw in the fact that you have to look for or identify non-threats. You have to look for cover. You have to utilize cover correctly. We have we don't get to isolate skills under stress. We don't get to isolate skills in real world environments. We only do that in training. We have a target, we draw, and then we shoot that target. All right, that's not reality. So yeah, you definitely should throw in as much drills as possible. It could be as simple as just once a month throw a tourniquet. If you know how to use a tourniquet, or your kids know how to use a tourniquet, just throw a scenario out where somebody gets injured in the car or in the garage or something like that. Make sure they know how to use that tourniquet. Then what are they going to do next? You got to work through all these things.
Yeah. It's not uncommon for Dana to throw one at each other.
I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah. So the training. I'll relate it to the training that I've done with you guys and some of the courses, especially medical courses. Medical courses. The medical courses are going back to 2017, and the most recent course that I did a few weeks ago, after I probably go to like 2 or 3 a year now. That's when it really started coming together for me. So there were a lot of classes in at this point, and going through the situational drills. It's taken me that long to get comfortable. So you have to get in that position. And a lot of times like this, we feel like we do the course, it's good, and we're not. We have to come back. Treat it like I treat jiu-jitsu. I'm going to repeat that technique thousands of times as necessary in order to get it to a point where I'm comfortable doing it under stress, and getting repetition into those stressful scenarios is the theory part. That's where we're tested. That's where we're pushed. And that's where it reveals what you really learned, what you've absorbed, capable of doing. And that's not obviously not real life stress. That's stress that you guys are creating. For us, so we're still somewhat comfortable. You didn't have to get it. And a lot of times, and so you have to stay. You have to continually go. And make it part of your life. It's part of your lifestyle. People tend to want to shoot. It's fun to shoot. It's easier probably to get out there more frequently and do that. But you got to do the same. And that's the stuff that's probably more likely to use in a situation. And like I said, Dane goes by my office and throws a tourniquet at me. And I take the stuff where you guys, bang right on. It's fun. It's fun. We do it and we laugh. About it at the same time. People tend to want to shoot. It's fun to shoot. Do it and we laugh about it at the same time.
Oh, real quick, Jason. I don't know. Is there a microphone built into those headphones that you have there? That may be causing some feedback. I'm not sure. Oh, real quick, Jason. I don't know. Is there a microphone built into that? Anyways, absolutely. I mean, when it comes to making sure that you have the repetitions to where you can perform these skills under stress, is without a doubt. So Willie just threw up here the Natalie had a stabbing at her high school yesterday. The boy died. It's made us all want to get into the medical class. I don't know if how or will staff or how. I can say again, for don't know, and this is another reason. Jason's always been a big advocate. We also have Archangel Counter Threat Solutions, and our goal right before COVID, when we kind of first opened this up, was to definitely train up schools in general, right? Make sure that schools are generally, active shooter, active threat proof, or at least the right measures taken to mitigate that. And I can tell you right now, they're not trained. The nurses are not trained. Nurses, there's almost never a trauma, any sort of trauma equipment in any schools. At most, usually in the nurses station, they're gonna have Band-Aids. They got stuff for boo-boos, not for gunshots, not for traumatic injury, not for things that are actually life-threatening. So I can almost guarantee you right now, they do not have the training and they don't have the equipment to make sure that people are prepared and ready to address those types of
I switched over to the camera and mic on the computer. Is that any better?
All right. Let's see what we got here. We also have, let's talk about this. All right, current state of COVID-19 reaction. I'm going to actually put that on hold. Jason, you got anything else to add as far as training goes? I don't know if you were able to fix your mic issues. I don't know what's going on with
I switched to the camera and the mic on the computer. Is that any better?
Let's talk about this. All right, current state of COVID-19 reaction. I'm going to actually put that on hold. Jason, you got anything else to add as far as training goes? I don't know if you were able to fix your mic issues. I don't know what's going on with
I switched to the camera and the mic on
Oh, man, that's so much better.
Is that any better?
Oh, that's huge.
Way better.
There seems like there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah, man, take the floor. All you, Jason.
Okay, so for
Now we can
training,
hear your beautiful voice.
I don't know if anybody was able to. I kind of went over the training part a little bit, and I don't know what was caught and what wasn't. But I think that the training has to be part of your lifestyle. It's got to be something that you embrace as an ongoing thing. And I talked briefly. I don't know if it was picked up or not. I kind of went over the that we've been doing the training since 2017. Still catching an echo. Are you catching it on your end? What wasn't, but I think that the training has to be part of your lifestyle. It's got to be something that you Do you think maybe it's picking up the phone? Do you think maybe it's picking up the phone? Do you think maybe it's picking up the phone?
I don't know. I lost your audio, Jason. I don't know why. I don't know. I lost your audio. All right.
Something's echoing. Something's picking up and going through.
I can tell you right now. I didn't hear. Let's see. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any of that. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
How about now?
All right. So let's talk about. Let's talk about the current state of
picking up and going.
It is what it is. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the current state of COVID-19 reaction, positive milestones, and ongoing concerns real quick. Folks, I just posted something to Facebook earlier, just talking about how they're now coming out saying that, basically coming out and saying that, hey, now they're finding out through studies that even with the vaccine, there's no difference in transmission between the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. And we're continuing to see the vaccine that sold to us at 95% efficacy rate at the beginning of this. We were told at the beginning of this that number one, it was 95% effective. Number two, it stopped the spread. Well, let's go back. So first of all, it said it would cure COVID. I don't know if, again, if you guys remember that at the beginning, and then it kind of died off going back to that it won't allow us to transmit it, but all these things are beginning to definitely diminish when it comes to the actual effectiveness of this. So at a minimum, we were definitely sold something that was rushed through, right? We were definitely sold something based on data that was provided by the manufacturers, and not necessarily proven. So we have unvetted information. Paul, I don't think that's true. No, people that even have COVID, even when they have other symptoms, don't necessarily have a fever. So I don't think that's true at all. I don't think, as a matter of fact, listening to some different accounts, they were talking about, they were definitely talking about how the fact that their kids gave it to some people and you got the truth and validity of that. A lot of that stuff is on speculation, and it's like, you think a kid gave it to them, but that doesn't necessarily mean a kid gave it to. So there's a lot of uncontrolled information out there that people are basically, it ends up being anecdotal information that everybody spreads, and this includes a lot of professionals that will reject certain anecdotal evidence, but they promote other anecdotal evidence as fact and as science when indeed it's not. Some other big points I was going to hit on that. Jason, I don't know if you can hear, if you want to add anything to anything going on with that. And I know, well, before even that, you know, the question is, and I know a lot of people feel differently on this, but I think, again, this has to come down to just the fact you got to start looking at this objectively when it comes to the information, right? I think it just objectively, the information isn't pointing to a lot of, definitely not pointing to what we were originally told on this. Now, just so you guys know, I'm vaccinated. My kids aren't vaccinated. They will not get vaccinated, and that's definitely a red line that I'm going to draw on that. But it does continue to concern me where a lot of the country, I think, still believes some of the information. You can see where a lot of the country still believes a lot of the information that was originally. I still see people saying, "Oh, well, you know, you can't spread it if you are vaccinated." You know, I don't even know that the data is going to end up showing that you are less likely. Right now, I would say that the data says you are less likely to get sick, hospitalized, and obviously those death rates. I just don't know how good that information actually is, because again, we have the information where we start off with and it remains, and it's getting more and more and more and more, or less and less and less and less effective, and starting to go back to very close to either not being vaccinated, and definitely not as good as if you've had the disease and recovered from it. There's no doubt about that. That is, if you want to have the best outcome, is if you've had the disease, and you definitely have the most antibodies if you've had the actual disease. And those do not wane. A study out of Israel, I looked it up the other day, and they're testing those antibodies 6 months after an actual infection, and those antibodies are just as strong as they were back then. Whereas compared to the vaccination, it's actually much, much less, I think.
And that depends on the brand.
And it does depend on the brand. And that's the other thing too. Because I think all the information is propaganda, or they block any doctor science is different from. This is 100% true. And this is where you definitely have to start doing some sanity checks. Like, you know, what's the motivation behind that? Why do they reject every other treatment as well? So, you know, right now, you know, I made a joke on Twitter. I said, you know, basically, you know, the high priest of COVID, the COVIDian high priest said that the vaccination is the way, the truth, and the light. It's the only way to get healthy. And that's how these people treat this. They're treating it like a religion. And even though all these other things have been proven to be effective at reducing symptoms and or getting people healthy again and having great outcomes, they reject it completely. So, you know, it's just one of those, you know, you can believe in vaccinations and still admit that, hey, freaking ivermectin probably has some positive effects. You can, because there's lots of really smart doctors out there using ivermectin, as well as monoclonal antibodies and a whole other array of even some of the different.
D3 zinc.
What's that?
D3 zinc.
Yeah, D3 zinc, absolutely. So there's a lot of things out there that are very effective at treating these, but they're not allowing it, and they're shutting that discussion down. It's right. Think of is either A, it's completely money driven, which makes sense, and or B, I also think that it's very power driven, right? Just really honestly seeing how much American people can be manipulated in spite of facts, right?
Yeah.
Eric Miller, I've been working around COVID-19 positive kids for a year. I take all the needed vitamin supplements, healthiest year yet for me. Where they have the highest vax rates, they have the highest death rates. I will take your word for that, Eric. I haven't looked that statistic up, but it does seem to be heading in that direction at a minimum, right? We're still seeing, you can look at Florida. Florida has the lowest rates of COVID cases, deaths, hospitalizations, period. And I do think there's something to that. So that is what it is.
Can you hear me
again,
now?
I'm going to give you the floor. I can't hear you. Haven't been able to hear you on my end, but I'll let you take it.
Okay. So I had a pretty bad case of it, and it interfered with me attending one of the courses.
Can you hear me now?
And I got it at an event, and probably 8 to 10 of us got it.
So
A couple of us didn't have it bad. Some of us ended up long-termers. I was one of those. And everybody's symptoms were a little bit different. There was a few of us that ended up getting ivermectin. I was not one of them, and they were able to recover pretty quickly. One person who, like me, had it really bad was able to get ivermectin later, and within 2 days he was fine, and symptoms did not continue.
ivermectin. I was not
Of those of us that were long-termers, I know at least one was able to get prednisone, and the breathing issues that they were having went away. So there's obviously it's a real virus. There's something to it. I can tell you that the pain I experienced from this was not as bad as when I had pneumonia. Although I did have pretty severe body pains with this, it wasn't as bad as the chest pains that I had when I had pneumonia.
It's a real virus.
My wife had it. She had it pretty bad the first time. She actually got it twice, and the second time barely had any symptoms. As far as Paul asked a question about how this had affected us with jiu-jitsu, we initially closed down when everybody shut down. We opened back up, put some protocols in place, and when there was anybody ended up getting the virus, or there was any potential concern that they may have been exposed to it, we would do a period of shutdown, let things settle down, and we had no spread of anybody other than the initial affected person who was affected outside of the academy. So we found ways to keep going. And I had 90% of the people. We lost a lot of students. We probably lost 50% of our business. But of those who stuck with us, 90% wanted to continue and get back on the mats. So we did, and we just put some protocols in place to make sure that we were cleaning more effectively and as a community working together to look out for each other. And that's one of the big things I noticed, is that everybody stepped up to make sure we were protecting each other in the process to stay on the mat.
So we did, and we just put some protocols in place to make sure that we were cleaning more effectively and as a community working together to look out for each other. And that's one of the big things I noticed, is that everybody stepped up to make sure we were protecting each other in the process to stay on the mat. So we did, and we just put some protocols in place to make
50%
sure
is a
that
big loss for small
cleaning
business.
more effectively.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Community working together to look out for each other.
Yeah, so I'm going to open the floor to anybody else. Anybody else have any comments? Feel free to throw those up there. Feel free to also to call in if you'd like as well. That's always fun. Again, we'll continue to work through some of these audio issues and video issues, connectivity issues, period. But so I appreciate everybody hanging in there and sticking with us through this. We appreciate that. All
Gary,
right, so,
are you able to hear me now?
again, if there's not anything else that anybody wants to bring up, just generally speaking, I definitely want to feel free. Almost everybody on this chat has our email, again, services@ParamountTactical.com, or you can email me directly, Gary. Matter of fact, I'm just going to write this, Gary@ParamountTactical.com. We are getting close to finalizing our training schedule for next year. And what I'd really like to have is, if there's any particular training or types of training that you guys would be interested in that we're not covering. We will definitely have some more long range courses. We're putting those back up on the board. Hopefully we'll get those going again. Hopefully we're past, for the most part, the issues that we're having with ammo shortages. We're still going to have those to some extent, but we are definitely backing ammunition. So we should at least have ammunition for a few courses. Again, folks, for all of our courses, we can provide everything, right? Whether it's ammunition, whether it is gear, equipment, whether you've ever taken a course or not. or you own any firearms or anything like that, we want to be able to provide you everything. I'm just trying to sit here and read stuff and talk at the same time, and I'm clearly not good at doing both. So again, we can provide everything, right? So we want to make sure that you don't feel like you have to go out and buy a bunch of gear. We want you to come to our courses, get educated, whether it's handgun, whether it's long range shooting, whether it's tac carbine, whatever it is. We want to get you educated before you go out and purchase a bunch of stuff. We'll show you everything that you need to know. We also have all CCC courses. Let's see. Definitely, we will have some more TCCC courses. We will have med courses coming up. We're probably going to do a med course either, probably early in January, February, somewhere in there. We like to do some of those courses early in the year because obviously, weather's not the biggest factor with those courses. So we can do those for anywhere. So we'll definitely have those. Defensive, Ed, on defensive shotgun. So, not a huge fan of the idea of a defensive shotgun, and there's a lot that goes into that. But again, when it comes down to it, if it is the only firearm that you have access to, it's okay. But I do have some qualms, and there's a reason I don't currently have defensive shotgun courses. I don't believe. Reason being, it comes down to is most people are using a pump shotgun. If for all the same reasons that I don't believe in using a single action revolver are the same reasons that I'm not the biggest fan of shotgun. They're slow to reload. They're slow to fire, period. They don't give you the best tactical advantage. I got a video on our YouTube page, or on YouTube. It's an old one. I actually want to redo it. But I talk about a shotgun versus an AR. When we're talking about or defensive shotgun, we're usually talking about CQB, and there's a reason that tactical teams don't use shotguns for CQB. We use those to breach. They're a great breaching tool, and they're good tools for a lot of things. But when it comes to having fire superiority, being able to engage multiple targets quickly and accurately, and the biggest argument for a shotgun is over penetration. And again, I show you in our videos, if you're going to be using a shotgun, we really should be using either buckshot or slugs. Bird shot's considered non-lethal. And I will tell you right now, those when it comes to buckshot and slugs are definitely much there's lots of good rounds out there. So anyways, I don't want to get too much into the weeds with that, but I don't know that I'll ever offer a defensive shotgun. Now, with that being said, if somebody came to me and said, hey, the only thing I own is a shotgun, or it's the only thing that's allowed in my, state or whatever it is, I might consider that. I might consider doing because if it's the only tool that you have, it's still a tool that you should know. Now, if that being said, if you own a shotgun, make sure you have, make sure you know how to use it properly. But I would also say, get you a carbine, and I think there's some better options for just tactically speaking, right? There's a lot of better options when it comes to that other than the shotgun. Roger Krause says situational awareness, observation skills. Situational awareness, observation, skill course. Yeah, so that is huge. There's something I definitely. So if you guys don't know, I used to, and Roger does, but I definitely I ran an entire unit that was based on situational awareness. So I went from the tactics side on the federal over to picking up this Really, what I did was stood up a unit. We were doing what I was teaching. I developed that curriculum, and it's still being ran. Same curriculum is still being used at that federal agency today. And it's definitely something that we should be bringing more to the civilian market. It's just not as sexy. It's usually not as marketable. but it's definitely probably more important than firearms. And I got to figure out how to thread that needle. We should be teaching, just figuring out how to present that and to do it in a way that we all, it makes fiscal sense as well, right? Oh my, I'd love to talk to you about shotgun. Dinner's on me. We can have that conversation anytime you want, Paul. Be happy to. Jason, I don't mean to leave you out. Throw some.
That's all right. Can you hear me now?
Any of that stuff I threw in there.
Anything better on the audio end there? Or are we still having the?
I mean to leave you out. Throw some.
That's all right. Can you hear me now?
Any of that stuff I threw in there.
Anything better on the audio end there?
Right now, it's much better.
Awesome.
As soon as we say that, it'll start echoing or something again.
Right. So as far as the situational awareness stuff, that's a big thing that we talk about.
Paul, go ahead. You're live with us.
And that was part of your first thing, of course, with the audio and video shenanigans. I don't think you really got into it as much. But for both, how important action reports are.
And what exact? What are you talking about exactly as far as after action reports? You talking about from a personal standpoint?
Somebody goes to your class.
Mm-hmm.
And they evaluate their equipment, and they basically evaluate the training that they received. That's going to be feedback to you.
Sure.
It would also be things to give a jiu-jitsu class, and people are going to be saying, oh well, I need to work on my strength of getting up and things of that nature. So that's what I say, or that's what I mean when I say after action report.
So we do course critiques. When I hear after action, I always think of something more, whether you're talking about an actual situations or
right. I'm sorry.
No. It's just it's a semantic issue, right? So those are extremely important. Getting feedback from students, and that's one of the things that we are very diligent about, or we try to be, and that is making sure that we're doing course critiques. So we're getting feedback in multiple categories from our clients, and them letting us know, what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, and in their perception.
As well as verbal at the end of every class. I mean, basically do a round robin of verbal feedback as well as the written course critiques.
Yeah, no. So those are extremely important, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. When I take classes and stuff like that, that's one of the things that I like the most is when people are doing the round robin thing, and it's like, well, what did you find that stood out in this class? Which I think is vitally important. I'm calling you up, so you got to answer all my questions.
Sure.
I would love to sit down with you and do something like that, because I disagree, and I'm not afraid to disagree with you.
No, that's fine.
Your arms are bigger than me, but I can run faster than you, so I don't really care.
You'd be surprised how fast I can run. I'm pretty freaking quick for a big dude.
Well, anyway.
No, so give me your kind of your thought on it. I'm happy to. I think I've heard most of them, but I'd love to hear it from you.
This is why I like you. So with the shotgun, and I hate to say this, and I know friends of mine are gonna like call me up and go, "You're dead." I call it a platform. So the shotgun platform is one of the most versatile platforms that you can have. Now, granted, they are just great because if you have one lower, you can have 20 uppers and you've got 20 guns.
Sure.
So I understand that. But here's the thing. It's like when I was a firefighter in Spotsylvania County, when you hunted deer, you could only use a shotgun. That's it. That's all you use. No rifles, nothing like that. And when I think of the shotgun, to me, it is a very versatile firearm, because not only can you change the barrel for hunting, you can change it for, like, I've got an 18-inch barrel sitting not within 3 feet of me with different types of ammo. And that's the thing. Sure. So what I use downstairs in the shotgun that's right next to me is double op, because I'm surrounded by concrete.
Okay.
Upstairs, I've got pretty much the same Mossberg 500 that's loaded with number 4.
Okay.
Because number 4 has been proven. You can go to the Paul Harrell web or Facebook page, YouTube, and he did the over penetration thing, where number 4 is effective. It's more effective than bird shot, but your over penetration through drywall, which, it depends on your house.
Sure.
My house was built in '93, so literally I could probably break into it with a pair of scissors. So.
So we can kind of take these one by one. So your argument is, or your stance is, that the shotgun is a versatile. It's very versatile. So
it's very versatile.
Okay.
But also look at the cost associated with buying a shotgun. A Mossberg Shot 500 right now is going to be literally a third of what an AR-15 is going to be.
Okay.
Can I give some insight there, Gary?
You're not going to hear a disagreement on that from me.
Oh, damn it! I was hoping we would get to an argument and fight.
So my difference, my difference is you're saying it's a very versatile, useful tool, and that you can do multiple different things with it, and I 100% agree with this. So, but what it is to me is it's a crescent wrench, and a crescent wrench, an adjustable wrench, compared to either a socket set or even an impact. Like, I can get a lot more done with one versus the other. Is it easier to own that crescent wrench? Can you do more things with that crescent wrench? It has multiple sizes, but yes, it's slower. My big problem is when we're talking about, if we use the term, I really hate the term tactical shotgun. To me, there is no tactical shotgun, because if you're going to call something tactical, it better indicate some sort of strategic advantage that it gives you over a foe, right? And in a shotgun, in my mind, it doesn't, because I can shoot multiple targets much faster with more rounds, more lethality. And you talked about over penetration. I can also show you rounds that over penetrate less, but have actually a much higher terminal ballistic effect on a target. In the video, I showed misses, which are going just through drywall with certain rounds with an AR, and misses with a double-aught buck, as well as slugs, and those over penetrate more. But then I also show actual hits on ballistic gel and the over penetration of that. So I can outperform all of those: speed, accuracy, usability, rounds, reloads. Like, there's no advantage to a shotgun. Now, does that make the shotgun just like does the socket set or impact wrench render the crescent wrench useless? No, there's lots of uses for it. And again, if it's the only thing that you got to roll with it, right? So it is very effective, but but the AR is much easier to shoot. And if you really delve into the rounds, I would almost argue that you have almost as much versatility with rounds as well.
Well, I mean, and not to throw a friend of mine under the bus, and this goes along with what you're saying, or what you just said within the last couple of minutes. A good friend of mine, Tony, he's got money.
Yeah.
So he's got the ability to get all the toys that he wants, and He just did like the whole week of the Glock armor at well, he can afford that. But my point is, what about those that can't?
Sure.
What about those people that want to protect their house and they can afford $250?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't looked at your video on YouTube about shotguns, and believe me, when we get off here and the live stream ends, I will definitely do that. So I have a better understanding, and so I can argue with you better, because this is the kind of stuff I like. You're telling me things, and we're working things out. But it's almost like with I mean, let's not leave Jason out of this. He teaches jujitsu. He's going to have people that come in that are not going to be able to afford all this equipment that necessary to train, or the ability to. I mean, when I was in the martial arts, the gi that I got was a hand-me-down, and it had stains on it, and
Sure.
it ripped a couple of times. But that's kind of my point, where I disagree with you on the reason why you're not doing a shotgun class, because of the fact that you got to be able to put things for everyone. Not everyone can afford an AR-15. Not everyone can afford the I can't remember the brand name of the gi that I had, and like.
So with that same argument, though, would you suggest that I do a revolver course?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, at least you're consistent.
Revolvers have their place.
No, they do. So at least you're consistent. I will say, the problem is that when you start teaching, what I don't ever want to do is get in a point. Number one, I think the market's limited, and maybe that's selfish of me or whatever. But obviously, I think that if you're going to run a business, you got to have a viable product, right? And if there's like 8 people that are going to.
No, I mean, a revolver class or even a shotgun class, you're not going to run those once a month.
No.
You're going to run those maybe once a year.
Yeah.
Or maybe once every 2 years when you get enough people committed. I'm with you there. But honestly, I mean, here's the thing, dude. I'm not gonna make it easy for you. I'm gonna, if you come up with something that I kind of disagree with, I'm gonna tell you, hey, dude, I disagree. But we're grown men, and we can sit there and have that conversation on the phone, on your live stream. And I'm not yelling at you and cussing at you and stuff like that. And I think that's where a lot of people lose it.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely. So like, it gets to the point to emotionally, right? So like, you can't be that. And I have no issues with, just again, it goes back to from my point of view, I don't want to ever misconstrue anyone saying that, hey, I say this is the best tool for the job, and as long as I don't have a problem teaching people how to use a shotgun. I don't have a problem teaching people how to use a revolver. What I do have a problem with is not doing my part to empower them, to give them the best absolute chance of survival, right? And saying, hey, you know what, this is you can use this, but what I'm telling you right now is having an AR versus a shotgun, especially, the statistics say something like 60% of all home invasions are multiple assailants, right? Not just one person. So when you're talking about a shotgun versus an AR, the tactical advantage of that AR over the shotgun is just huge. And it goes back to what Eric's saying here on the screen. Stage or a pistol stage versus a shotgun stage, you're going to see about a quarter of the targets, even less than that, right? And they're going to put less rounds on those targets because you cannot transition, you cannot load as fast, and those are with tricked out shotguns, right? Those are speed shotguns. They have, like 8 to 12 rounds in the tube. They have extended magazines, so those aren't even with what they have there, you have to diminish that by another 50%. But I don't want to completely eat up the entire talk with this, but no, you make some good points. And we got a couple other phone calls
If you want to just try calling back in.
Yeah, if you guys called while I'm on the phone here with Paul, if you want to call back in and bring up some points too. So
that's the reason why I called, was to get other people to call.
well, you did a good job. No, I really do. I appreciate the challenge and discussion. I think it's a good discussion.
Oh, you know me. All right, man. Hey, great. I'll continue watching. Have fun. Bye.
Thanks, Russ.
Hey, Gary,
No, Ed, that's a great point.
There.
All right. Hey, who do we got here? Hello, Paramount Tactical.
Yeah, that's a Gary.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Hey, Gary. I was wondering, I'd like a little bit of advice on long range shooting.
Sure. Are you on you're on our live stream, right?
Yeah, this is January.
Perfect. Do me a favor, if you will, turn down the volume on your computer. We're getting the feedback there. So, but yeah, man, I'd be happy to give you as much advice as we can squeeze in here. What questions you got?
Not too much free, but I've trained myself on the radicals so far.
Okay.
So how do I turn torch? If I know I'm on 600 yards, how would I turn my torch when I'm on LRAD?
How would you say that again? How would I
adjust my torch?
How he adjusts his
So basically, I'm doing everything in the radical.
Oh,
So I'm self-taught.
how do you adjust your turrets if you're doing everything in the reticle? Well, if you're doing everything within the reticle, I wouldn't adjust your turrets.
Okay.
But I kind of get what you're asking me, right? So you want to try to leave the turrets alone as much as possible. You can't, like, one of the, if I'm going to be doing a lot of hold offs, I'm shooting at distance, right? So, but I know that most of my holds are going to be, let's say, 7 mils plus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial 5 in elevation. So now everything is, so if it's 7, it's 2. I know I'm holding on 2 mils, or 7.5, 2.5, or 3, or so on and so forth. So that's one of the things that I regularly do. So that way I'm not, even if you're just using the hold offs, right? If you're just using that, your reticle, you know, it starts getting hard to count 8, even if it's marked, right? So you want to stay, I try to stay without getting crazy down into that reticle, right? Especially, I don't know what kind of reticle you have. Like I have a Horus, which is Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
Yeah. So you start getting deep in that thing, left, right, up, and down, and it starts getting a little confusing to your eyes, and also trying to count and make calculations in your head while you're under stress and while you're trying to apply the fundamentals, right? So you're trying to do all of that, squeeze it all, and then still make sure that you're looking at the right line and putting it on the right target. So that's a challenge. So just like I said, if you know it, into those higher reticles, you can add a few mils on your elevation, and the same thing goes with windage. You know, you can, if you know what your windage is, you can dial that into. I usually never dial windage, but
I'm still guessing windage. I'm still just it's guessing at this point in time.
Yeah. So what we definitely need to do, man, is we need to get you to a course. We'll explain all that stuff for you, and we'll take a lot of that guesswork out of that and make it a lot easier for you. The MOA and how to, practically apply that.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, some of your listeners out there, I was living in Ukraine for over a decade. I was there when that revolution happened.
Mm-hmm.
And when stuff pops off people you've known for decades, they will change. They will have a completely different belief than they've always had. So you just got to kind of be careful, keep an eye on people around you, because some people's going to change really.
And it seems like you're indicating that they changed for the worse is kind of what you're saying, right?
Well, someone that you trusted and you loved and you knew they had, one critical view, all of a sudden putting you on a list or tattling onto someone for something you might or might not have done. So just keep an eye on everyone around you and just notice little changes in their attitude with you.
Yeah, no, it's important to pick the right people to surround yourself with. And so actually learn that. I don't want to get too deep in this, but in SEER school, you learn that it takes very little pressure for people to fall apart and start going to the other side. It takes very little pressure of It's crazy how quickly people fall apart, and how weak most people's constitution are. Oh man, great call. Thank you. Got any other questions before I let you go?
That's it. Thanks very much, Gary.
Hey, no problem, man. Come to our one on long range courses.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Thanks, bud. All right, jump in here. I keep leaving you out here. Jump back in here.
Is that me? Can you hear me?
Jump back in here.
Is that me?
It's you. Get it.
There's a delay, so I can't hear that I'm in there. Hopefully the echo's not too bad. So kind of going back to the previous call, talked a little bit about it. So I can't hear that I'm in there. Hopefully the echo's not too bad. So kind of going back that I would say when it comes to kind of thinking about the equipment, would be, whether it was jujitsu, whether it's firearms, whether it's medical gear, I don't think you can analyze it from the perspective of cost. I'm certainly not in a position to get any and all that I would buy. We buy a little bit over time. But I think you can analyze it from with the firearms and the medical gear. What's the cost of if I don't have that medical gear when I need it? I could complain about the cost of the tourniquets. I could complain, well, I got to pay for one, for this location. Don't have that multiples in the truck, multiple vehicles. But in the event that I don't have it, that cost is going to be irrelevant to me. And I will beat myself up for not finding multiples in the truck, sure that I have here. But in the event, same thing with firearms, and after that cost is going to be relevant. Training with you guys, and then analyzing the video of the sure that I have here, shooting through the drywall with firearms, and after it clear to me that, and then I did analyzing a couple of days with another gentleman who's also a Green Beret, and a lot of the stuff you have taught me was confirmed to me that, and then I did. That time that I spent made it clear that that's the weapon that I want for protecting my family and my home. And so I went in that direction with another gentleman who's also a Green Beret, and a lot of the expression that we talk about a lot of times in the courses, buy once, cry once. And that time that I spent made it clear that that's the weapon that obviously there's going to be some people that have no choice. And for those people, obviously, they have to work with what they do. But I think making these lifestyle, we find a way to skimp in other areas to make it possible to be prepared and live this lifestyle. Have no choice. Relating it to jiu-jitsu for the first 3 years that I trained jiu-jitsu, but I think the first six and a half years I was training style, we find a way probably for the first in other areas to make my head maybe 2 years. And I just came home and I washed it, dried it, and got a jiu-jitsu next day. And I went through them pretty quick. As a result of the review file, we find a way. Probably our commitment level. Right? How we're going to be. What's our commitment? Maybe 2 things there. And I just came home and I washed it, dried it, and got a jiu-jitsu next day. And I went through them pretty quick. As a result of the review file, we find a way. Probably our commitment level. Right? How we're going to be. What's our commitment? Maybe 2 things there. And I just came home and I washed it, got and I went through them pretty quick as a result of the commitment level. We're going to be commitment. And I went through them pretty quick as a result of
Yeah, hopefully I'm not stepping on you, Jason. I think you're done talking. Again, I do, and I can't hear you other than through summer phone that we're feeding through this, and there's a big delay on there. No, absolutely. Like, definitely. I agree with you when it comes to, if you're serious about, there's arguments in both. If you're serious about protecting your family, you definitely want to spend a little extra money and, pick the best tool for the job. And there's some good points behind that. And of course, there. Nothing wrong with knowing how to use it and using it effectively. I just don't want to, again, I don't believe in the term tactical shotgun. I don't think it gives you any sort of major advantage, and I think they're just too laden with disadvantages overall. We can definitely have that discussion at a greater, more in depth. And again, if you haven't, definitely check out the video. It's an old video. It's the audio and video looking back now, especially since we kind of stepped apart the audio and video on it. But I think it portrays what we need to, right? It gets the job done. And it's definitely a video that I need to shoot again, just to make the production of it more palatable overall. But
well, I think I was the cinematographer on that one. So
you were the
that was
cinematographer.
probably why. That's horrible.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Again, we really appreciate everybody coming out. Does anybody have any other questions or gripes or complaints about summer? All right. No, hey, look, we really appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in to this. Thank you again for having patience with us and with the audio and video and connectivity issues. We really appreciate that.
Next week will be better.
Yeah, next week we'll definitely we'll work on these issues. Nothing fixed, right?
And you got to have
Jason. We really appreciate you coming out. I'm going to have you on again. We're going to have you on here pretty regularly. Again, I think it's really important to surround yourself with people that have, you know, a similar mindset. And again, I just appreciate Jason's dedication to, you know, again, we're just very aligned in how we see the world and how we, you know, overall kind of approach. That is you can either surround yourself with people like that will encourage you to continue to challenge yourself and to be better in that area, or you can surround yourself with people that have other interests, right? And you're always going to follow those interests. It's easy to do. Yeah. It's easy to get caught off guard. And I'm telling you right now, folks, this is the time. If there was ever a time that was seriously important to be prepared, it's definitely now, right? And I don't think there's any time that it doesn't make sense to be prepared. I think we need to start making sure that we are being examples to those around us, as well as training our kids and our families so that they are, you know, they're self-reliant. That's really what it is. And there's nothing more American than that phrase in my mind, and that is being self-reliant. And we are becoming less and less so as individuals and as society. So that's just, you know, people think it's like the craziest thing in the world if you can start a fire on a bunch of different fire starting equipment and fuel and everything else. And it's sad.
Hopefully we can get more into
we'll leave it there. But again, we really appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you email me. Again, Gary at ParamountTactical.com. Feel free to email us anytime there. Or services at ParamountTactical.com. Right there is our phone number. Feel free to give us a call anytime. If you want to talk offline, I'd be happy to take a phone call with you one-on-one. Area of Haymarket, you want some, again, go check out Battlefield Jiu-Jitsu. Jason would love to have you out. Take your family there, give them some mindset skills, some actual training and fighting skills, things that will make them not only be prepared for individual conflict, but just be prepared for life. Those are the points. And again, there's so much you get from martial arts, and especially when you have somebody like Jason that can impart those principles in a way that just is going to make sense and is going to do right by you and your family.
Thank you,
Jason. Again, thanks for coming out. Again, hey, I'll give you a call here in just a little bit, but if you guys need anything else, email us. If not, we'll talk to you next time. We're going to do this again next Friday, and we will have all these issues squared away. I sort of promise you. I will promise you. I'm going to try really hard. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.